Recording
Public
in progress.
Enterprises, and most recently as the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Tourism. Remembers her as a member of the ANC's National Executive Committee and Deputy President of the ANC Women's League. Recalls that a commitment to non-racial, non-sexist and prosperous society has guided her path and contribution to the struggle against apartheid through the United Democratic Front, Natal Organization of Women, and during the course of our democracy in legislative structures. Acknowledges that she was a fearless and competent organizer, recruiting people to join the ANC and ANC Women's League after its unbanning. Believes that she fought tirelessly for foster change, leaving behind an irrevocable legacy of empowerment, human elevation, dignity, and hope. Further believes that the contribution she has made to the struggles for gender equality and non-racialism remain etched in the history of our country, and the House conveys its heartfelt condolences to her family, friends, and their comrades. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chief Whip. And before I call the first speaker, I would also like to recognize the family of the late member in the gallery today. I now call on the Honorable Deputy Minister of Public Service and Administration.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker, fellow members of Parliament, but also let me take this opportunity to recognize the family of Honorable Lungi. Let me also use this opportunity to convey my sincere condolences to the family of Honorable Ketamabala, the leadership, and the members of the IFP. Honorable members, I rise before you today with trembling limbs and a heart heavy with both sorrow and reverence. It is not easy to capture in mere words the magnitude of the life we are here to honor, a life of so immense in its courage, sacrifice, and purpose that it defies the limits of this mortal plane. We gather here today not in mourning, but in celebration of the life of a phenomenal woman, Comrade Lungi, whose contributions have helped shape the South Africa we know today. I deliberately refer to this as a celebration to remind us that in times of sorrow, we must not only grieve, we must organize. That is the true calling of an activist. And Comrade Lungi was just that, an activist in every sense of the word. I believe that everyone present here today, regardless of political affiliation, is here because of a shared commitment to activism. From her earliest days, Comrade Lungi was marked not by ambition of self, but by a steady commitment to her people. As a young woman in KwaMashu, she stepped with conviction into the ranks of the people's power. Her community, recognizing her courage and clarity of purpose, deployed her to serve on both the KwaMashu Peace Committee and the KwaMashu Joint Action Committee, structures which were not mere committees, but battlegrounds of community-led resistance and instruments of survival amid apartheid brutality. Honorable Deputy Speaker, it is this activism that binds us to the promises of our Constitution as our nation still strives to free itself from the long shadow of apartheid. Lungi was a fighter, an uncompromising warrior of the ideals that are espoused in the Freedom Charter and the liberation of our people. Her loyalty to the ANC was born out of a deep commitment and the revolutionary cause, and her life was a testament to the enduring struggle for social emancipation. As women, we now face a new and urgent struggle each year. With tragic regularity, our nation is shaken by the brutal killings of women at the hands of men. Just this month, we have witnessed two devastating femicide cases, those of Olorato Mongale and Kim Tony, the latter killed at the United States. These are only the cases that reached the headlines. Countless others remain unseen, unheard, and unacknowledged. We must be clear, gender-based violence is not a women's issue. It is a societal crisis, and men must be part of the solution. We cannot dismantle patriarchy with women's voices alone. We need men to stand beside us, not as protectors, but as partners in the fight for justice. We need men to challenge toxic masculinity, to speak out in locker rooms, in boardrooms, and living rooms, because silence is complicity. And again, Honorable Deputy Speaker, today's struggle is about transformation of the lives of our people. We must think about our women in the rural far-flung communities, including the women of KwaMashu, where Honorable Mnganga-Gcabashe spent most of her life. We must ask whether our economic transformation policies are making impact in the lives of those women. Most of them are unemployed and have less to provide for themselves. In her memory, we must build self-reliant women whose prosperity is not determined by a man, but they can do anything for themselves. As Angela Davis once said, and I quote, "I'm no longer accepting the things I cannot change. I'm changing the things I cannot accept." And we cannot accept a society where women live in fear, where justice is delayed, and where the lives of women are treated as disposable. Let us honor her legacy, not only with words, but with action. Let us organize, mobilize, and rededicate our compassion into policy, our grief into resistance, and our love into liberation. Let us ensure that when our time comes, we too will be left, will leave this world better than we found it, just as she did. Now that the torch is in our hands, the flame she carried through dark times must not be allowed to die. We must rise as she did, with resolve and with compassion. We must honor her legacy, not only with words, but with action, by walking the road she laid with us, with the same courage and dignity so she generously gave. May her memory live on in every act of justice. May her spirit guide us in every moment of doubt. May her name be forever etched in the heart of our nation. Rest in peace, Comrade Lungi. Aluta continue. Thank you.
The Honorable Ishmael.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, it is with deep sadness that I pay tribute to the late Ms. Mnganga-Gcabashe as a dedicated member of Parliament, a committed servant of the people, and a valued colleague on the Portfolio Committee on Tourism. We extend our heartfelt condolences to her family, her political home, the African National Congress, her friends, her colleagues in Parliament, as well as to all who has had the privilege of working alongside her. Her passing on 17th May has left a profound void, not only in her caucus, but in this House and the tourism sector she so passionately served. She was not just a politician, she was a bridge builder. When I first met her in her role as chairperson on the Tourism Portfolio Committee, we introduced ourselves formally, but quickly discovered that each of us struggled a bit with pronouncing the other's surname. With a warm laugh and that signature twinkle in her eye, she suggested, "Let's just keep it simple. Call me Lungi, and I'll call you Ishmael." That moment broke the ice, and it set the tone for what became a respectful, energized, and collaborative working relationship. It reflected exactly who she was: approachable, warm, and focused on connection. As chairperson, she was known for her ability to engage thoughtfully, to listen across the aisle. Her diplomacy, sharp insights, and unwavering advocacy for the development of tourism, especially for historically marginalized communities, earned her the respect of members across the political spectrum. Her contributions to the committee's oversight work were substantial. She brought not only institutional knowledge, but a people-first approach. Whether addressing issues of transformation in tourism, skills development, or the importance of infrastructure investment in rural tourism nodes, Honorable Lungi ensured that policy translated into tangible opportunities for ordinary South Africans. As a Democratic Alliance's spokesperson on tourism, I wish to affirm that our shared vision for inclusive tourism, for community upliftment, and for transparent development continues. Honorable Lungi's voice will be missed, but the values of dignity, development, and unity must carry forward. To her loved ones, we mourn with you, we honor her legacy, and we thank you for sharing her with this house and this country. May her soul rest in peace. May her memory continue to inspire service, purpose, and compassion in us all. Thank you.
Honorable Moodley.
Madam Speaker, colleagues, and the Mnganga family, nice to see you here today. Today is another day for titles. Not a day for titles, but there's no honorables here today. I don't see you. Today is a day we remember Mnganga-Gcabashe, a dear friend and a valued colleague whose presence brought warmth, wisdom, and strength to all who knew her. She was a woman of integrity, quiet determination, diplomacy, always ready with a kind word, sound advice, and a steady hand as a colleague. She was dependable and principled as a friend. She was compassionate, loyal, and uplifting. I'm reminded and deeply grateful that I had the privilege to spend with her last official days at the Travel Indaba, which took place at the ICC in Durban on the 11th until the 14th. I'm probably the last one to see her alive, I think, because we were together for 4 days. We laughed, spoke as colleagues, but also people who share the country. Little did I know that was my last time to hear my friend's voice as she was called to rest a few days later. Her legacy lives on, the life she touched, the example she set. We will miss her deeply, but we will carry forward the values she stood for: service, humility, and love. Now, I got to say this to the House, that Lungi and myself, I was a councillor in Durban, and Lungi was in those days was the deputy head of housing in Itiqueni Municipality. So Lungi is my personal friend. We have friends on the side, don't we, Mr. Leader? We do have friends. So today is the day I want to say to Lungi, I'm standing right in front of you here. I want you to see me. And that we care, we love her, and I'm going to miss her. And I want to salute her family and salute her as well. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable Moodley. The EFF.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. Ngibingelele kwi-family ka-Comrade Mnganga-Gcabashe. On behalf of the EFF, we stand here to send our felt condolences to the family of Comrade Mnganga-Gcabashe and to the African National Congress as her second family. We work with Comrade Lungi in a different structures in KZN and eThekwini. Since sasizabalaza khona sisonke, sizabalazela abantu abamnyama. My first encounter of the Deputy President of the Women's League is when I was a ward councillor at Amawood. She was already at a provincial level as the provincial chair. Lungi had a very strong character, a strong personality, a straight talker. So those who served with Lungi under the Women's League of eThekwini and KZN, they will know that ukuthi uLungi beyifuna accountability. Bengahleki. Abanye beze bemsabe bethi akangeneki. So fast forward, when I met with uLungi here in 2014 on the corridors of Parliament, she was very humble and we were very happy, but she was not happy for the fact that EFF is here to push the African National Congress. At some point when we met in the corridors of the Parliament, I was so shocked when she stopped talking to me. And I said, what is happening now, Comrade Lungi? Sabakhaya mos, kwenzekani? Athi, yey, niyasdudula. And wena ke, uphuma kuleli khaya, awusenazwelana. Ngithi ehe. When you were elected as a Women's League Provincial Chairperson in KZN, angithi ububadudula ufuna accountability. Nathi sifuna accountability ke to you as a government. Then fast forward in 2024, Lungi was back here in Parliament. Sajabulelana, kwamnandi, ngathi congratulations on behalf of us as women as well, because I saw now that you are elected as a Deputy President of the Women's League. So when the sad news broke, we were so sad. And we even asked around with other comrades what happened. So we can safely say, rest in peace, Comrade Lungi. Sifunde okukhulu kuwena as a leader of the society. Comrade Pinky was here and said that Lungi was championing the issues of gender-based violence. So we have learned a lot from her. Even the member of my committee who was serving with Comrade Lungi in her committee, uthi she was a mother to everyone. Ubengacwasi, bengasho ukuthi wena uphuma kule nhlangano, wena uphuma kule nhlangano, but she was very dedicated, a member as the chair of that portfolio committee. Sithi ke somndeni waka EFF, sithi kunina mndeni waka ANC, nomndeni waka Gcabashe, akwehlanga lungehlanga. Niduduzeke nje mndeni nilale ngenxeba. Rest in peace, Comrade Lungi.
Honourable Maki.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, allow me on behalf of the IFP to greet with honor the family members of Honorable Lungi who are here with us today. The IFP notes with deep sorrow and profound respect the ultimately passing of Honorable Lungi Mnganga-Gcabashe, Deputy President of the African National Congress Women's League and a dedicated servant of the people of South Africa. We extend our heartfelt condolences to the Mnganga and the Gcabashe family, her loved ones, and to the leadership and membership of the ANC and ANC Women's League. In this time of mourning, we are reminded that the pain of loss transcends political boundaries. We stand in solidarity with all those who grieve the loss of a woman whose life embodied compassion, discipline, and unwavering commitment to the cause of justice and equality. Her leadership in this capacity where she served bears testament to her diligence, strategic mind, and her love for this country. As a former activist in the United Democratic Front and the Natal Organization of Women, and later as a leader in the Democratic South Africa, Honorable Mnganga-Gcabashe remained committed to the vision of the non-racial, non-sexist, and prosperous society. She was a vocal advocate for women's empowerment and a role model for many within and beyond her political home. The IFP honors her memory, not only as a respected political peer, but as a sister in the shared struggle for the just South Africa. We acknowledge that while our political affiliations may differ, we are united in our shared humanity, in our love for this country, and in the values of dignity, empathy, and service. May her soul rest in peace, and may her legacy live on in the lives of those she led, mentored, and inspired. We pray that her family and comrades find strength in this time of loss, and that her contribution to the advancement of women in South Africa as a whole will never be forgotten. I thank you, Deputy Chair.
Honorable Freeman.
Dank u voorsitter. Ons is diep bedroef oor die heengaan van Honorable Lungi, 'n toegewyde en 'n gerespereerde voorsitter van Portfolio Toerisme Portfolio Committee in die parlement. Sy was absoluut toegewy aan haar werk. Voorsitter, Honorable Lungi se wysheid en eierskap was 'n groot inspirasie. Sy sal beslis gemis word vir die goeie werk wat sy gedoen het. Hiermee wens ons as Patriotic Alliance ons immer meegevoel ooit te spreek teenoor Honorable Lungi se familie en vriende. Mag julle vrede en troos vind in die wete dat sy deur haar werk groot impak gemaak het in Suid-Afrika. Mag voorsitter Lungi se siel rus in vrede. Dankie voorsitter.
Honorable Denner.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, our Parliament has recently lost two prominent senior members in a very short time. And it's always with a heavy heart that one has to do a motion of condolence for the colleague we've lost, for their caucus and colleagues, for their friends, and most of all, for their families, the loved ones who will miss them the most in the spaces and times where they were their true selves, away from the demanding pace commanded by the work we do. Therefore, the FF Plus wishes to convey our deepest condolences to the ANC caucus, the family, and other loved ones of Honorable Mnganga-Gcabashe. She was a prominent leadership figure here in Parliament as a senior member and committee chairperson, as well as in prominent leadership roles within her own party, where she made her mark as a strong woman in leadership. May you all find strength in the memories of her life and legacy, and in the impact she had on those around her, as expressed in the words of Jack Thorne, when he said that those we loved never truly leave us, because there are certain things that death cannot touch. May her soul rest in perfect peace. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
Honorable James.
Thank you so much, Speaker. Action SA, as well as in my capacity as the Deputy Chairperson of the Multi-Party Women's Forum, hereby extends its heartfelt and sincerest condolences to the family. I can honestly say to you, go well to the loss of your loved one. Go well, Honorable Lungi, faithful servant. One of the greatest things that pleases God's heart is to fulfill your primary duty on this earth and that is to serve others. So I know that there are many people laying in the graveyards that have lived up until the ages of 80 and 90 and not lived and served a single day. We honor your family member. We honor this woman for her role in serving our country. We honor her as an activist. We honor her for the change that and the role she played in our country. I want to say that it is not always necessary to know someone personally to feel, to hear, and to see their impact. And that is the woman that and the legacy she has left behind. Now to get to my formal notes that I have written here. I'm not good at these notes. A dedicated public servant, she started her services in the early days of the UDF and went on to serve with distinction in KZN legislature. More recently, she served in the National Assembly, chairing various portfolio committees until 2019. Upon her return to Parliament last year, she continued her service as the portfolio committee chairperson on tourism. Beyond her political contributions, I am told that she will be remembered for her warm spirit and her deep love for music, which brought so much joy to many. We honor her legacy today, and we honor her tireless efforts to build a better South Africa for all. I thank you.
Honorable Thring.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, on behalf of the President of the African Christian Democratic Party, our NEC leadership and members, I wish to express our sincere condolences and prayers to the family and the party of the late Honorable Lungi Mnganga-Gcabashe, who sadly passed on the 17th of May this year. She was known for her commitment to non-racial, non-sexist, and a prosperous South Africa, and one who contributed to the democratic freedom that we all enjoy. From the ACDP, we echo the words of our colleagues that her legacy shall not be in vain for the sacrifices that she made to this nation. Deputy Speaker, you will note that I mentioned family first before party. And the reason why I did this is because we as politicians, when we are down, when we are discouraged, when we are sick and ostracized, it is family that is there to encourage us, family that is there to uplift us, family that is there to spur us on. And to our Honorable Lungi's family, thank you. Thank you for being there for her and allowing her to do what she did for the nation. And so certainly to the family, thank you for loaning her to South Africa these 64 years. It is important because that we rather never, it is important as members in this house that we never sacrifice family on the altar of politics. Because in our darkest moments, it is family that will be there to encourage us. Scripture teaches that there's a time to sow and a time to reap, a time to be born and a time to die. And when that time comes, let me encourage the family, know that you are never alone. That we have a God who never leaves, neither does he forsake. That we have a God who gathers us in as a hen gathers her chicks. That we have a God who says he is with us always, even until the end of time. Thank you.
Honorable Nontenja.
It's Honorable Kwankwa Chair. I'll take over. Thank you so much. The United Democratic Movement extends its heartfelt sympathies and condolences to the family, friends, the loved ones of Ms. Lungi Annette Mnganga-Gcabashe. Ms. Mnganga-Gcabashe served as a member of Parliament from 2004 until her passing in May, which is last month. She was a dedicated member of the ANC and an ardent advocate of gender equality. As chairperson of both the Portfolio Committee on Public Enterprises and most recently the Portfolio Committee on Tourism, She played a pivotal role in strengthening parliamentary oversight and ensuring accountability across government entities. Ms. Mnganga-Gcabashe will be remembered for her commitment to a non-racial, non-sexist and prosperous South Africa, where everyone lives in peace and harmony, and for a contribution during the liberation struggle under the banner of the United Democratic Front, and also working in the Natal Organization of Women and during the course of our democracy in legislative structures. Her unwavering commitment to public service and the empowerment of women has left an indelible mark on our legislative landscape. We are deeply saddened by her loss and extend our support to all who are grieving during this difficult time. May her legacy of service and dedication continue to inspire us all. We extend our sympathies and support to those who are grieving, and may her soul rest in peace. Thank you very much.
Honorable Ghana.
Cancer, Deputy Speaker, and thanks for the opportunity. On behalf of Rise Mzansi, we send our condolences to the Mnganga family, the Gcabashe family, and the ANC caucus in Parliament on the passing of Member Lungi. I served with her in the Human Settlement Portfolio Committee in 2014. And one of the things that struck me about her was just her passion to see development, but also to see those that are entrusted with the responsibility of delivering for the people of South Africa, especially the poor, doing what they are supposed to do. Each time that we went on oversights, she will not hold back in holding those officials, especially in the human settlement space. Others have spoken around the work that she has done in KZN. We did a number of visits to KZN, and she always asked the most incisive questions in an effort to hold those responsible accountable. So we say to her family and the ANC, may her soul rest in peace. But her undying spirit, her love for the people of South Africa, that spirit must live on for generations to come. May her soul rest in peace.
Honorable Shlazu Webster.
Ngifisa uqala ngibingelele umndeni wakamnganga-Gcabashe onathi namhlanje sithi dudu sizwelana nani siyanikhulekela kulesikhathi ekulahlekeleni kwenu. Today we rise to pay tribute to the life and service of Ms. Lungi Mnganga-Gcabashe, a dedicated member of Parliament and a resolute servant of South African people. We reflect and we honor her participation in the struggle for liberation, her roots in the civic and women's movements, in the Natal Organization of Women and in the UDF, and later her work in formal political structures. In this house, she has a long history of commitment, and her leadership in those spaces is known to have been firm but considered and always focused on accountability and development. We know that the work of Parliament is not always visible. Some of this work takes place in long meetings, in committee rooms, in oversight visits, things that are far from the public eye. And Ms. Mnganga-Gcabashe understood this. She embraced it, and she did so with humility, with seriousness, and with a sense of duty. And I know this because I've spoken to people who worked closely with her all of these years. Beyond the benches of this house, she was deputy president of the ANC Women's League. And we must recognize her role in this way because younger women like myself have been able to step into and contribute to the public service and to political life in this country because of women like her who made it possible, who made sure that the voice and the role of women in shaping our country was known and was respected. I want to say that it is not easy, and she is somebody to whom we look and know that it is possible to leave, maybe not always a loud legacy, but certainly a lasting one that has impacted people, because actually, ultimately, this is what our work is about. We say to our colleagues in the African National Congress, "Niduduzeke, sikhuleka kanye nani." Siyabonga.
I don't have speakers on the list for the next parties, ATM, Al-Jamar, NCC, UAT, and PAC. Is there anyone online of these parties? Honorable Mashlatsi.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Kgotso Maafrika. Modimo o ne a re adimile, mme o boetse o latile. On behalf of the United African Transformation, I rise with both sorrow and deep reverence to pay tribute to the life and legacy of the late Honorable Mnganga-Gcabashe, the former Deputy President of the of African National Congress League. A humble, patient, and a disciplined cadre of our movement. Her passing is not just a loss to her family or her organization, but it's a broader African liberation movement. In a quiet strength and political clarity, she embodied the values that our continent desperately needs today: dignity, humanity, and unwavering commitment to the cause of African unity and justice. Our last interaction was simple yet profound. She sent me an old picture of myself and said, "Mo Africa, the problem with your generation is that you are not patient." It was not a dismissal. It was a loving correction of a mother of the revolution, reminding us that discipline is not a weakness and patience is not to retreat. She understood the long arc of struggle and she walked it with grace. She was a solid African leader, firm in her conviction, yet gentle in her approach. A rare kind of revolutionary who chose wisdom over noise and principle over popularity. To her family, we say, you have shared a daughter of Africa with all of us. Thank you. To the movement, we say, pick up a baton, but do so with her spirit. May her powerful African soul rest in eternal peace. As UAT, we salute her for the last time by saying, "Patni mambo."
Honorable members, I want to make sure that there isn't someone on the virtual platform. I would not want to leave anyone out. We can then proceed with the Honorable Minister of Tourism. Honorable Bila, please mute. The Honorable Minister of Tourism.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and honorable members, and greetings and condolences to the family of our sister Lungi. We are here today not only to mourn the loss, but we're also here today to remember and celebrate a member of this House who quietly led from the front, both in Parliament and in our communities. Her passing has certainly left a big void in our country and in our Parliament. Like Frans Fanon said, each generation must discover its mission, fulfill it or betray it. And she fulfilled her duties and went beyond up to last week before she passed away. I worked with her as a hardworking member of Parliament and as chairperson of the Tourism Portfolio Committee. She dedicated herself to advancing the tourism sector, ensuring its role as a driver of economic development and inclusivity. And the leadership was defined by wisdom, by integrity, and unwavering commitment to the growth of South Africa as our country. She understood what oversight meant. And she always advised on solutions, how to grow tourism, And she taught me personally a lesson in protocol, but in a very, very loving way. And I will always remember this. During the last week before her passing, she was with myself and the Deputy President at the Africa Travel in Durban as part of her oversight role, together with Honorable Moodley. She championed transformation in the sector through a dedication and to ensure that all South Africans do benefit from tourism. We sympathize with the family, her political home, the African National Congress, our colleagues in Parliament, and all of us who had the privilege of working with her. And may her commitment to public service inspire all of us to continue her work and to build on the foundation that she has left behind. I thank you and God bless.
Honorable Blakude.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker. On behalf of the ANC Parliamentary Caucus, we want to extend our appreciation to all parties for your love and support during these difficult times. Some of you have accompanied us when we laid her to rest in KZN. We want also to assure the public out there that as parliamentarians, we spend most of our time together away from our families. So we are not enemies, but colleagues, like at any other workplace. We also want to extend our appreciation to the parliamentary staff who assisted us through everything that was needed to be done for the family and for us as the African National Congress. We thank also our own parliamentary staff members and also the presiding officers for being with us through these difficult times. We say, don't do it for the ANC alone and also to all other parties when they are faced with these difficulties. We thank also the family for sharing with us Comrade Ulungi Mnganga-Gcabashe. We know that she's no more, but God will be with you as you learn to navigate through life alone without her. Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker.
Honorable members, that concludes the speakers list on this matter. I take it there are no objections to the motion being adopted. Will members please rise to observe a moment of silence in memory of Ms L A Mnganga-Gcabashe. The presiding officers associate themselves with the motion. The condolences of the House will be conveyed to the Mnganga-Gcabashe family. Please be seated. The Secretary will read the first order.
Consideration of the report of the Portfolio Committee on Water and Sanitation on the oversight visit to Vhembe District Municipality, Limpopo.
The Honorable Basson.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, I present the oversight report of the Portfolio Committee on Water and Sanitation dated December 2022, following its visit to the Vhembe District Municipality from 28 to 29 October 2022. This oversight was prompted by a petition submitted by Mr. Baloyi on behalf of the Nandoni Complaints Resolution Committee. The petition referred by the Speaker on 13 April 2022 raised long-standing concerns affecting communities displaced by the construction of the Ndoni Dam in 1998. The committee engaged extensively with the petitioners and received formal responses from the Department of Water and Sanitation. The petition addressed several unresolved matters.
My apologies, Honorable Basson. Members on the platform, please mute yourselves. Please proceed, Honorable Basson.
The petition addressed several unresolved matters: compensation for land and crop loss, inadequate housing, issues with traditional trust funds, delays in water and sanitation infrastructure, the relocation of graves, and other social and cultural impacts. The committee observed that although some progress has been made, including refurbishment of houses and some water reticulation, many community grievances remain only partially addressed. The community raised the following concerns: the lack of clear communication, inconsistent verification processes, and the exclusion of community-appointed representatives from decision-making. To address these issues, the committee made the following key recommendations: that the Office of the Public Protector concludes its oversight of remedial action and provides a handover report to affected communities; that trust be rebuilt by including community leaders in the technical committee tasked with resolving outstanding issues; that all funding allocated to the Ndoni project be audited to determine whether any fruitless or wasteful expenditure occurred, with appropriate consequence management where applicable; and that the Department of Water and Sanitation report back to the committee on the progress of all remediation actions. Deputy Speaker, this report reveals the complexity and sensitivity involving in balancing infrastructure development with the right and well-being of affected communities. While the Ndoni Dam was intended to be a vehicle for development, it remains a point of hardship and frustration for many who were displaced. The committee therefore calls for urgent action, greater accountability, and stronger collaboration between the department, municipalities, traditional councils, and the affected community for bringing lasting resolutions to this matter. The committee will have a follow-up meeting with the department to monitor progress in this petition. Deputy Speaker, I submit this report for consideration. I thank you.
I will now recognize political parties wishing to make a declaration. The usual times for declaration of votes will apply. Honorable Mnganga-Gcabashe, do you have a point of order? We will go in the order that we have. Honorable Mnganga-Gcabashe, we do it in a specific order. You know that. The DA.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker. Today, we discuss the oversight report of the Portfolio Committee on Water and Sanitation. The oversight report on the Portfolio Committee on Water and Sanitation conducted at Vhembe District Municipality regarding the long-standing grievances around the Ndoni Dam project. While this report was originally tabled in 2022, it is crucial to acknowledge that significant time has passed, and our current understanding of this project's status requires urgent updating. The construction of the Ndoni Dam was completed in 2005, yet the communities affected by its development continue to face unresolved challenges, nearly 2 decades later. In the oversight visit, critical issues highlighted included inadequate compensation, substandard housing, incomplete water reticulation, and significant delays in the relocation of graves. Furthermore, serious concerns were raised regarding transparency and accountability in relation to the management of trust funds intended to benefit the displaced communities. The committee made several recommendations which were supported by our party when this report first served. These recommendations remain vital and demand our immediate attention. First, the committee called on the Office of the Public Protector to urgently complete oversight of the remedial actions taken, ensuring full compliance with earlier recommendations. It is essential we obtain clarity on whether these recommendations have now been fully implemented and to what extent affected communities have experienced real restitution. Secondly, the committee emphasized the need to rebuild trust and accountability through inclusive decision-making processes involving affected communities, traditional leadership, and local municipalities. They supported the establishment of a restructured technical steering committee, ensuring representatives from affected communities play a direct role in monitoring and decision-making processes. Thirdly, an audit of all funds allocated to the Ndoni project was strongly recommended to determine if there had been any fruitless or wasteful expenditure. This audit is imperative to establish transparency and ensure accountability. And lastly, Madam Deputy Speaker, the committee requested regular progress reports from the newly established Technical Steering Committee by August 2023. This update is essential, and we require urgent clarity on whether this recommendation has been fulfilled. Honourable Speaker, although this oversight visit occurred in 2022, the issues raised continue to significantly affect the lives of communities around the Ndoni Dam. We must now seek updated and clear information on the status of each recommendation made by this committee to ensure promises are kept, accountability is maintained, and dignity is restored to the affected communities. I thank you.
The MK.
Thank you. Honorable Chairperson, honorable members, we rise as the MK party to reject this report and expose the ongoing failure of the so-called GNU to provide something as basic and fundamental as water to our people. The report before us is stale, delayed, and does nothing to address the pain of the communities around the Ndoni Dam. These people were promised land, housing, compensation, water infrastructure, and what did they receive? Cracked houses, dry taps, and silence. Some of them have died in waiting. We must ask, why are we still debating a report 3 years after the oversight visit? How many more oversights will come and go before something actually changes? But this is not just about Vhembe. This is a story of eThekwini or Tugela, where taps in places like Sahlumbe, Mhlumayo, Phoenix, KwaMashu, and Ntuzuma, and parts of Umlazi have run dry for weeks. Tankers arrive late, if at all. And when they do, they often serve the politically connected first. Go to Veralem and Tongat. You will find residents buying bottled water just to cook and clean. Children are going to school unwashed. Pensioners are standing in queues to collect for hours to collect water. This is a daily reality, Minister. And who's held accountable? Nobody. Billions have been spent on water infrastructure across the country. Where is it? What happened to the Giyani bulk water project? What happened to the promises in Hammanskraal? Why are towns and villages a stone throw away from dams still without water? Chairperson, the MK party is not here to rubber stamp reports while our people suffer. We are here to call out this deliberate neglect. We are here to say that the people's patience has run out. This report speaks of the oversight we speak of crisis. This report speaks of oversight, and Tina, we speak of crisis. The MK party rejects this report, and we demand real action, real accountability, and real delivery. The time for excuses has long passed. I thank you.
Honorable Mkalipi, it is now your turn. Order, honorable members, order.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker.
Honorable members, order.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, we must condemn the length of time it took for this report to come to the Assembly. It is simply negligent of Parliament to have not processed this report for over 3 years. The issue we found and highlighted when the committee undertook this visit may well be moot by now. That notwithstanding, the economic freedom fighters was part and parcel of this visit, and we are bold to make known the observations we took from the visit. The ANC has been constantly violating Section 26 and 27 rights of the people of Uteli, Mlenze, Dididi, and Chilungoma in Limpopo. These are the very same people, over 400 families, who were forcibly removed from their ancestral land to make way for this project that has been characterized by the delays. The oversight to Vhembe was ignited by a petition led by Mr. Baloyi. The economic freedom fighters has expressed on numerous occasions the disregard the ANC government handled this Ndoni River project and the inhuman consequences of their continued incompetence. Pinky. The Department of Water and Sanitation completely failed to uphold any of the commitments made to the communities, even though the aim of the Portfolio Committee was to ensure that proper and adequate oversight was being followed. The Economic Freedom Fighters condemns the Portfolio Committee chair inadequacies to facilitate proper engagements. His disregard for the plight of our people agitated the community and rendered engagements with them hostile. It is the intervention of the EFF as the leader of society to that community got to express its frustration. We condemn the department's inability to engage all relevant stakeholders and continued to marginalize voice of community leaders such as Mr. Baloyi. The handling of cultural sites and grave relocation was not handled adequately and therefore put strain in relations between the department and the community. And we call upon the chair to be very sensitive to the culture and traditions of the community when they go to oversight. Because if it was not because of the EFF in that area, everything was going to be in a very, very bad way. So you as the ANC and the GNU, you must thank EFF intervention there, because we as EFF stood up and showed the leadership because we love the community. Therefore, we reject this report.
The IFP.
Thank you, our chairperson. One of the cornerstones of democracy is public participation, not just representation. The Constitution ensures that the public is involved in Parliament's lawmaking, oversight, and other processes. Parliament has therefore developed mechanisms to promote this involvement. The IFP notes with concern that a development as vital as the provision of clean water, running water, has left some intended beneficiaries in a destitute state. Development must improve people's lives, not to worsen them. Delays in compensation have caused serious hardship, especially for those who were relocated. The IFP calls for a thorough and transparent process to identify the rightful beneficiaries, with compensation made only once their status is confirmed. This must be done in consultation with elected representatives, traditional authorities, and the local council. The anger expressed by affected community members, is understandable, especially in the absence of clear communication. All those impacted must be receive timely and accurate information to help them understand the situation and the steps being taken. In consideration of the issues we have raised, the IFP accepts the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The Patriotic Alliance.
Thank you, House Chair, honorable members. The Patriotic Alliance with the people of Vhembe District Municipality, who have endured years of failed governance, broken promises and service delivery neglect. The ongoing water and sanitation crisis in this district is not just a policy failure, it is a direct insult on the dignity and rights of our people. The devastating impact of the Nandoni Dam project has left families without proper compensation, their homes damaged and their livelihoods shattered. Yet government officials continue to ignore their crisis for justice. Water shortages, failure infrastructure, and corruption-driven incompetency have turned basic human rights into a distant dream of many. We refuse to stand by while bureaucratic inefficiency and political negligence deny people the services they are owed. The Patriotic Alliance requests urgent intervention, justice for the displaced families. We demand immediate compensation for those affected by the Nandoni Dam project. Accountability for failed leadership. We will expose and fight against corruption that is crippling service delivery. Rapid investment in water and sanitation infrastructure. Clean water is a right, not a privilege. We call on all South Africans to demand real leaders who serve the people, not themselves. The Patriotic Alliance stands ready to fight for our communities and restore dignity to the people of Vhembe. We support the recommendation. Thank you.
The FF Plus, no declaration. Action SA.
Thank you, House Chair. Honorable House Chair, the oversight report for the Public Works Portfolio Committee on Water and Sanitation into the decades-long plight of the communities displaced by the Nandoni Dam is a sobering reflection of government failure. Since the beginning of the project in 1998, over 400 homesteads across 33 villages were forcibly relocated, and promises of compensation were either inadequately fulfilled or wholly ignored. The department's inability to provide clarity, accountability, and justice has further exacerbated the needs of the affected communities. Millions have been paid to traditional councils, yet no audited reports were submitted. Crumbling houses, unfulfilled water reticulation, and unresolved grave relocations reflect a government that is far detached from the people it claims to serve. This report is now over 2 years old, and media reports continue to reflect similar challenges experienced by the very same communities. The department is yet to include comprehensive compensation, proper housing, and infrastructure for the displaced communities. While we as Action SA support the report, we remain deeply concerned about the slow and incomplete implementation of the report's recommendation. We therefore call for the completion of all compensation payment, full implementation of remedial actions, and accelerated infrastructure development to ensure all affected communities have access to clean water and adequate housing. The communities that are affected by the Nandoni Dam project have waited for too long for justice and restitution. Action SA is committed to holding responsible parties accountable and ensuring that the rights and dignities of these communities in the Vhembe district are restored. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The ACDP.
Thank you, House Chair. House Chair, the ACDP shares the deep concerns expressed by many about the time that it has taken to accept this report. It was tabled in the ATC in December 2022, and if you read the report, required action by August 2023. This after the very committee dealing with it lamented in its report the delays at that stage spanning over 10 years to finalize the process of compensation and remedial actions. At that stage, the committee stated in the report, quote, anger by community members is justified as there is no direct communication outlining the complexities of the matter. All affected people must be given information to understand the situation. That was a long time ago, 3 years ago. And imagine the anger today if these matters are not resolved. The dam was completed in 2005. That is almost 20 years ago. The question which arises is, whilst the ACDP appreciates the contents of the report, what is the up-to-date situation? Have all the outstanding issues been resolved? Has the public protector's remedial actions been complied with? Now, those, since the 2016 Constitutional Court ruling, are binding. It is very important that an update is obtained about the situation in the area so that we as Parliament do not neglect our oversight responsibilities. As it seems now, Parliament has neglected its oversight, if the oversight, in as much as this report has not been considered temeously. And therefore the question arises, what is to be done? And we would urge that an urgent update is obtained. That having been said, the ACDP will support this report. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The UDM. Rice. Bosa.
No declaration.
ATM. Al-Jama. NCC. PAC. UAT.
No declaration, Chair, but we support the report.
Thank you.
Chair, this is Build One South Africa. We would like to have a declaration, please.
Yes, I called the party, but nobody responded. You may proceed.
We're sorry, we were having technical issues. Thank you, Chair. The report documents an oversight by the Portfolio Committee of Water and Sanitation in Vhembe. And we want to start to say with sheer embarrassment that we use the word deliberately of a Department of Water and Sanitation that builds houses without adequate water and sanitation. And so the irony is that this is something that would maybe be laughable if it didn't come at the cost of health, safety, and dignity of the people of Vhembe. And so it's equally shameful to the department to report in this way, as outlined by the report by the committee. What we have before us is not a credible account of Parliament's constitutional responsibility to hold the executive accountable, but rather an exercise in administrative evasion and bureaucratic detachment. The petition was submitted 5 years ago, and that's 5 years ago, which means that a child that was born at the time of its submission would now be in grade R and still waiting. And so if this House, we believe, has any self-respect, it cannot honestly send members back to those communities carrying empty recommendations like missionary leaflets from a bureaucracy that long has lost the plot. Worse still, the report itself is outdated and it actually is unfit for parliamentary consideration. And so we cannot support this report. It should not be adopted. It should be rejected outright and sent back for proper updates and only return to this House once it reflects the real status of implementation. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Good. The ANC.
UAT is here. Chairperson.
Yes, Honourable Member. Honourable Member of the ANC, will you just take your seat again? I earlier called the UAT.
No, you did not.
I called the UAT.
No, you did not.
But you may proceed, Honourable Member.
After PAC, the boss lady came in.
Honourable Member, please proceed. But the UAT were called.
No.
Proceed.
I disagree.
Please proceed. Order, honorable members. You may proceed, honorable member.
No declaration, we reject.
Please proceed, the ANC. Order, honorable members.
One thing we are
Order.
playing here. You think we are playing?
Order, honorable members.
Thank you, Chair. Ke just bagase ke tamishe badudi ba Vhembe District Municipality. We of the African National Congress stand in this People's Tribune to declare our full support for the report of the Portfolio Committee on Water and Sanitation on its oversight visit to the Vhembe District Municipality in Limpopo by the 6th Portfolio Committee for Water and Sanitation. This in itself is clear proof of the ANC's long-term commitment to accountability, transparency, and responsiveness to enhance the quality of life, well-being of all our citizens. Since 1994, the ANC has persistently led the transformation agenda to significantly change our people's lives by expanding access to basic water to even the remotest parts of our country, Vhembe District Municipality being one. However, the ANC is in dignity, human rights, formal and real equity, freedom, and social justice must follow and never stop. The ANC-led government in the 6th administration championed the construction of the Ndoni Dam in the Vhembe District Municipality, which will still go on even today as a monumental and parallel milestone achieved by the ANC-led 6th administration. Naturally, whenever development occurs, nature and humans will be affected. In our context, this must be done in a just and equitable manner, taking the rights, dignity, and freedoms of our people into account. For our part as the African National Congress, we will engage our oversight responsibility to ensure that no one is left behind in the reliable supply of water. By its heart, inch by inch, everything is in sync. We shall confound the naysayers, doomsayers. We shall rebuild, we shall restore, we shall not renege on our revolutionary duty to renew our society and ensure fundamental socio-economic transformation for all our people. When water flows in the taps as it is already does, 23 villages already are getting water from the Ndoni Dam. We will continue with our clarion call to our communities in the Vhembe District Municipality to use water sparingly, report any and every leakage, and ensure that no leakage occurs in their yards and houses. Water is a resource for future generations, and we dare not fall in our national and global responsibility. The African National Congress proudly stands here to declare its unequivocal support for this report in the strongest conviction that today is better than yesterday, and that tomorrow will definitely be better, even more better. The ANC will not abandon its historic and contemporary responsibility to the society and those who had no rights or freedom under apartheid. It will continue to learn from the timeless wisdom of our people. Muhulwana ukanda mufa aichi uvon. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, honorable member. I now recognize the Honorable Chief Whip.
Thank you, Honorable House Chairperson. I move that the report be adopted.
Motion is that the report be adopted. Are there any objections?
House Chairperson, MKP, we reject the report.
EFF rejects the report.
The UAT reject.
Are there any further objections? The objections are noted.
Bosa
And the
object.
report is, Bosa as well, and the report is agreed to. The secretary will read the second order.
Consideration of report of Portfolio Committee on Agriculture on oversight visit to Onderstepoort Biological Products and Agricultural Research Council in Gauteng Province from 7 to 11 October 2024.
I now recognize the chairperson of the committee who will introduce the report.
Honorable House Chair, thank you very much. May I request, Honorable Chair, that I switch off the video to make sure that I have enough a network.
You may do so.
Thank you. Honorable House Chairperson, thank you very much. Honorable members, I have the honor to present the Portfolio Committee on Agricultural Oversight report on the Agricultural Research Council, the ARC, and the Onderstepoort Biological Product, the OBP, dated 29 October 2024 for consideration by this House. The committee conducted the recent oversight visits to the ARC and the OBP to assess the operational performance, governance, and service delivery of the two entities. Our purpose was to evaluate how these institutions are fulfilling their mandates in support of agricultural research, animal health, and food security. We engaged with management and stakeholders to review administrative, technical, and financial processes. The committee noted that the ARC, which is the Agricultural Research Council, provides leading scientific research and technologies for crop and livestock production. However, we observed significant challenges such as aging laboratories and infrastructure, which has created a large backlog of maintenance and upgrade projects. The ARC's infrastructure needs are vast. One report estimated that replacing and maintaining its aging facilities would require roughly 480 million. Funding shortfalls have affected project timelines, and we flagged audit and financial risks that require urgent attention, Honorable House Chair. The OBP is the country's livestock vaccine manufacturer, also faces serious obstacles. Industry reports describe critical shortages of many livestock vaccines and point to governance issues at OBP. The OBP board has acknowledged inheriting a mess of under-maintained production facilities. As a result, vaccine production was halted for months in 2020 to 2021 due to equipment breakdowns. These disruptions contributed to the shortages of essential vaccines, such as those of African horse sickness and Rift Valley fever. The committee therefore emphasizes that the OBP must urgently resolve these supply and financial challenges. We also recognized progress where it is due, Honorable House Chair. Despite constraints, the ARC continues to deliver important research outputs to support food security. Under new leadership, the OBP has also implemented measures to improve performance. A 7-day production cycle was introduced, and the availability of key vaccines, notably the African horse sickness vaccine, has improved, and the OBP management is strengthening financial controls and working towards a clean audit outcome. We therefore recommend the following, among others, to the minister, that the minister strengthen oversight over the OBP and the ARC to ensure that both entities effectively address all repeat audit findings that have been highlighted by the Auditor General of South Africa. The minister to ensure also that the OBP addresses the high vacancy rate. Honorable House Chair, the committee would like to thank the Minister and the Deputy Minister of Agriculture for availing themselves during the oversight, as well as the executives and the staff of the ARC and the OBP, the Auditor General's Office, the veterinary experts and industry representatives, all committee members and support staff who participated in the oversight process. Honorable House Chair, I hereby table the committee's report on the ARC and the OBP oversight visits for the consideration by the House. I thank you, House Chair and honorable members.
Thank you, honorable member. Honorable members, I will now recognize political parties wishing to make a declaration. The DA.
Honorable House Chair, stakeholders in agriculture and fellow South Africans. Today I rise not only as a public representative, but as a citizen deeply concerned with the state of our country's biosecurity, food security, and economic resilience. The recent outbreaks of foot and mouth disease in KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng, including the alarming incident at South Africa's biggest beef producer, Karen Beef, have exposed the fragility of our animal health system and the urgent need to strengthen infrastructure at the Onderstepoort Biological Products and Agricultural Research Council. These outbreaks are symptoms of years of neglect, underfunding, and political complicity by previous ministers to take decisive action to hold officials accountable for corruption, looting, and incompetence. With these institutions in place, not only to protecting our agricultural sector, but also to prevent the outbreaks. The Democratic Alliance position is clear. Without competent boards, professional management, and strict accountability at our entities, South Africa will continue to lurch from one agricultural crisis to the next. Our farmers, exporters, and rural economies cannot afford this. We are pleased that Minister Steenhuisen already acted on this matter. The October 2024 oversight visit to Onderstepoort Biological Products and Agricultural Research Council in Pretoria revealed a disturbing picture. At OBP, critical vaccine production was crippled by the failure of two freeze dryers, both well past their expiry. Management had been warned as early as 2010, yet due to inaction and mismanagement, these warnings were ignored. The consequences, vaccine shortages, financial waste, and rising vulnerability to livestock disease outbreaks. The OBP has also been embroiled in litigation, delaying the completion of its good manufacturing practice facility. Over 492 million rand in public funds were allocated. Yet today the facility stands incomplete and its equipment at risk of being obsolete before even being used. The estimated capital requirement to restore full functionality now exceeds 2 billion rand. Weigh up this cost with the economic losses incurred because of disease outbreaks. A single FMD outbreak like at Karen Beef can shut down our red meat exports and cost the economy billions in lost trade, job losses, and culling of livestock. Investing 1.6 billion rand now into completing the ARC state-of-the-art FMD vaccine facility is not a luxury, it is a necessity. The Democratic Alliance welcomes Minister Steenhuisen's bold decision to request a SIU probe into mismanagement and corruption at the OBP relating to the good manufacturing practice facility. Something the previous minister never did. The minister is clear. If you steal from the public purse or weaken critical institutions, you will be exposed and you will face prosecution. The DA calls on Treasury to prioritize investment in biosecurity infrastructure and our ability to produce reliable, effective, and readily available vaccines by an immediate capital injection into the ARC's FMD vaccine facility to fast-track mid-scale production and avoid reliance on regional suppliers like the Botswana Vaccine Institution, which itself faces challenges. We also call for funding to fast-track Minister Steenhuisen's plan for a track and trace system to improve regulating irregular movement of animals. It is crucial for all stakeholders, including traditional authorities, agricultural organizations, farmers, auctioneers, and the wider community to be part of the solution by ensuring responsible practices are maintained to protect everyone from disease outbreaks. We need a whole of society approach to ensure biosecurity and a thriving agricultural value chain. Honorable members, this is not just about health, animal health and livestock. This is about jobs in the agricultural value chain, export revenue, and food prices in rural and urban South Africa alike. It is about credibility. It is about trust. Now is the time for the builders to take hands. The Democratic Alliance supports this report. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The MK.
Greetings, Chair. May I request everybody to show a smile? If the teeth are normal, they just show where they used to be. My declaration is premised upon the animal farm story. By virtue of the name Onderstepoort, people think it's a boere farm, whereas it's a facility for the public. But anyway, to write off, in an animal farm story, there are animals who are more equal than others. OBP is an institution entrusted with the production of vaccine for animal health care. The irony is that it is a national key point, but it's using private companies to distribute their products, which are mainly white companies. Interestingly, OBP is not making money, yet they are the only producer of these high-end products. They even produce for European Union market in terms of vaccine. We find buyers who are overstocking in order to resell. We have an issue of intellectual property of OBP being lost because of the competition companies who are poaching OBP expertise, promising them greener pastures. There is a gray area due to restraint of trade missing in the act. OBP is the goose that is laying golden eggs for the white race in this industry. This has triggered why there is no move on restoration of land. It's because our white race, they are keeping more stock of animals who depend on OBP. When we look at who controls the game farms, are the same race who are a minority. When you look at the game farm tourism, it's the same minority. When you look at the horse racing sport, it's the same race. When you look at the institutions that are training veterinary doctors, it is limited to the same race. When we have trained, they get taken by the world. There is a narrative that is being advanced that OBP must be given to private sector, who are the reason why the institution is not performing well. There is a legal case on one of the companies that is using the IP of the OBP. There is a slow movement on maintenance so that they underperform, and then they are given the property or the institution. We are now being supplied by Botswana, who is a small economy. This is industrial espionage. The practice of veterinary services was perfected by a black person, but his kin and kind are no more advanced in this sector, but the other race. The lack of progress in terms of general manufacturing practice facility is a deliberate plan to cripple the institution. We need to expose all those who are distributing the OBP products because they are thriving at the expense of the state facility due to ill advice of javelin throwing. The facility is using a small freeze dryer which was meant for research, but now we are relying on it for production. We discovered that foot and mouth disease comes through buffaloes. And the question is, who is keeping a huge herd of buffaloes? It's the same race. Our black farmers make so much profit to can afford these vaccines. Their livestock remain vulnerable to catching foot and mouth disease. We are told some of the buyers, they buy on credit and never pay and declare insolvency. No wonder the institution is constantly being destabilized. They are also purchased stock from China and is idling and exposed. By the time it's needed, it will be no more in good shape. Our members are actually so much informed about the happenings there since they are in the same trading space. OBP is also suffering the privatization agenda because we say it was good when it was in the hands of the whites. Clearly, those are not wanted are the blacks. This means we were good as general worker, not as black scientists. We are good as their customers, not as their competition. The story of OBP. is like that of a chicken who keeps producing eggs and never gets to see their chicks because they form part of the frying pan products for breakfast. Furthermore, it's like the piglet who needs to die because we need bacon. I
Honorable
thank you. We
member,
don't
your
support
time
this
is now
report. Thank you.
expired. The EFF. Order, honorable members.
Why did they switch it off? Thank you very much, House Chair. The EFF, I'm being disturbed, House Chair. Can I be protected, please? House Chair, the Portfolio Committee on Agriculture, Rural Development, and Land Reform conducted an oversight visit to the Onderstepoort Biological Products and the Agricultural Research Council in Gauteng from the 7th to the 11th October 2024. House Chair, we must express our concerns from the onset regarding the persistent delay by OBP in obtaining a principal agent. These delays have significantly undermined OBP's capacity to manufacture vaccines. This has occurred right under the watch of the Minister of Agriculture, who has, to this day, failed to protect the intellectual property of OBP. This failure has opened the door for private entities to enter the vaccine manufacturing space. As an organization, we will not stand by and watch the destruction of OBP. We will continue to fight for its preservation and operational sustainability. We have witnessed how the ANC has systematically destroyed key state institutions. The challenges faced by OBP in maintaining vaccine manufacturing capacity stem from the former Department of Agriculture and Rural Development and Land Reform failures to plan ahead and procure a new freeze dryer. This equipment had been at OBP for 32 years, even when OBP informed the department in 2010 already, during a routine maintenance, that the freeze dryer had only 6 years lifespan. The department failed to act. This negligence has contributed significantly to the current crisis. Delays in finalizing the good manufacturing plants remain a serious concern. OBP acquired equipment before the building was completed, and as a committee, we raised serious concerns about the potential impact on the functionality and warranty status of that equipment by the time construction was completed. We call on the Minister of Finance to urgently allocate additional funding to ensure the completion of this facility. It is important, House Chair, to remind this House that failures at OBP and ARC are not isolated incidents, but a part of a broader pattern of state incapacity and mismanagement under the ANC government and their GNU partners. Critical institutions that should be leading our country in food security, vaccine development, and agriculture innovations are being run into the ground due to poor leadership, lack of political will, and corruption. This has dire consequences not only for the agriculture sector, but for public health and the economy as a whole. The EFF reiterates its call for the complete overhaul of leadership within strategic state-owned entities like OBP and ARC. We need qualified, capable, and visionary leadership that understand the strategic importance of scientific research and in building safe, sustaining states. We cannot continue to outsource critical capacities to foreign governments and foreign investors, while we have the knowledge and infrastructure to do it ourselves.
Your time is now expired.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. The IFP.
Thank you, as Chairperson. State-owned funding must be properly accounted for, highlighting the critical role of oversight visits. These visits are essential to ensure that projects are implemented effectively, progress is monitored consistently, and timely interventions are made to prevent mismanagement and fruitless expenditure. The IFP is deeply concerned about the broken freeze dryers, especially since the OBP was alerted as early as 2010 that the equipment was nearing the end of its lifespan. This is unacceptable given the essential role freeze dryers play in production of vital biological products. Proactive maintenance and long-term planning are crucial to avoid such avoidable disruptions, particularly in a sector where efficiency and readiness are key to public health. Nonetheless, the IFP welcomes the OPP's detailed audit recovery plan and the implementation of consequence management measures. These actions reflect on organization taking a responsibility for its mandate and committed to sound management of its resources and operations. Chair, inkinga enkulu yokusabalala kwesifo samatele okulimaza abafuyi abahambisa impahla bendalini, abafuyi abahlaba inkomo zabo ukuyidayisa ukuze bekwazi ukondla bekhulise imindeni yabo nengane zabo. Kuyishwa-ke nokho ukuthi sinalenselelo yamatele anganqandeki sekuyiminyaka ngeminyaka kuphindaphindwa ngawo uhlupho lwawo olukhona phakathi komphakathi. Kuyasilimaza futhi-ke nakulabo abasafuna ukuganwa ngoba ayikwazi imfuyo ukunyakaza ishintshe indawo uma abafowethu befuna ukuyolobola ukuze kwakhe imizi yamadoda. Kungakho-ke sithi noma kunjalo siyawumukela umbiko kodwa kuyadinga ukuthi kube bekhona ukuyinikela kubasebenzi bahulumeni ukuphatha kahle impahla kahulumeni nokuthuthukisa isizwe sakithi. Siyathokoza.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The next speaker is from the PA.
Honourable Speaker, honourable members and the members of the public. The committee observed the ongoing modernization of OBP's vaccine manufacturing plant, a project essential for ensuring the availability of high-quality vaccines to combat livestock diseases. The committee also reviewed the construction of the foot and mouth disease facility at the ARC, a vital initiative aimed at strengthening South Africa's ability to respond to outbreaks that threaten the agricultural economy. While the committee acknowledges the strides made in these projects, concerns were raised regarding governance challenges, funding constraints, and operational inefficiencies that have hindered progress. The prolonged inactivity of the OBP board has had a detrimental impact on the organization's ability to fulfill its mandate effectively. The committee urges the Department of Agriculture to prioritize leadership stability and resource allocations to ensure these institutions can operate at full capacity. Honourable members, the findings of this oversight visit underscores the urgent need for accountability, efficiency, and strategic investment in agricultural research and disease prevention. Let us work collectively to strengthen South Africa's agricultural resilience and safeguard the livelihoods of farmers and communities dependent on these sectors. We support the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The FF Plus.
Agbare huisvoorsitter, ons sit hierso met 'n onverdunde ramp in die ineenstorting van die Onderstepoort biologiese produkte aanleg. Dit is 'n ramp wat nie net kommersiële boere of wit boere tref nie. Dis 'n ramp wat elke enkele mens wat 'n bees het in Suid-Afrika tref. Mense wat 1 bees of 2 beeste op 'n slag verkoop wanneer daar uitgawes is wat hulle nou moet nakom. Wat broodgebrek ly op grond daarvan dat hulle beeste nie kan verkoop nie omdat daar ingeperkte gebiede is wat beeste nie kan bemark nie. Dit is die gevolg van wat die komitee verlede jaar in November reeds gesien het en wat 'n mens eintlik 'n dekade vroeër al kon voorspel het, 2 dekades vroeër. Trouwens, ons kon dit 3 dekades vroeër voorspel het toe die nuwe ANC-regering gesê het Onderstepoort is een van daai eerste wêreldfasiliteite waarvoor Suid-Afrika nie werk het nie. Suid-Afrika moet geld bestee op die dinge wat die gewone mense op die grond pla. Nou die gewone mens op die grond word gepla as hy nie meer kan vleis koop nie. Die gewone kommersiële en die gewone kommunale boer op kommunale grond word gepla as hy nie meer kan bemark nie, omdat Suid-Afrika se beeste nie meer bemarkbaar is op die wêreld mark vir beesvleis nie weens aansteeklike siektes. En dit is 100% 'n voorkombare ramp hierdie. Dit is 'n ineenstorting van bestuur. Dit het niks met ras te doen nie. Dit gaan nie daaroor oor swart wetenskaplikes of wit wetenskaplikes of swart bestuur of wit bestuur nie. Dit gaan oor 'n kultuur van jy stel mense aan op grond van hulle demografie en nie op grond van hulle bekwaamheid nie. En dan hou jy hulle daar omdat hulle daar is, ongeag of hulle die werk reg doen, ongeag of die hele plek onder hulle voete besig is om te verkrummel. Die enigste antwoord hiervoor is privatisering van Onderstepoort, en dis nie omdat 'n mens ideologies vir privatisering is nie, dis omdat die staat die hele ding klaar opgevoeder het en nou behoort te loop. Dankie.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Action SA.
Thank you, House Chair. The OBP is a biotechnical company that manufactures vaccines and related products, and the ARC, which provides important research and development of technological support to the farming community, are crucial to ensuring optimal animal health and production in the livestock farming sector in South Africa. These institutions used to hold the highest and enviable state of being world-class institutions, providing the best possible animal health products and blood vaccines in the world, and proudly used to export these products across the world. Now, due to the regrettably perilous state of these facilities, they can no longer even meet the needs of local farmers, and there are large backlogs of critical vaccines. Vaccine production capacity has also declined alarmingly due to the breakdowns and the end-of-life status of freeze dryers used to produce vaccines. The only freeze dryer that is left is intended for research and not commercial production. The Good Manufacturing Practice Facility has also been stalled since 2020, and the related facts are frankly hair-raising. These backlogs and blood vaccines, especially for tick-borne diseases and others, has had a devastating impact on animal production and related livelihoods. The resignation of the CFO just the day before the oversight is also indicative of a captain jumping ship before its very own passengers. The fact that every conceivable excuse is proffered as to why OBP and the ARC can't meet demand despite receiving hundreds of millions of rands is a poor reflection on the board and the facilities management. As Action SA, we are awaiting the outcome of the investigation report initiated by the Minister with interest, and we hope that this will start a sustainable turnaround of the institutions. We do support the report, House Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. The ACDP.
Thank you, Honourable House Chairperson. The Agricultural Research Council is the country's principal agricultural research institution. Although it's Onderstepoort Biological Products Company, through the OBP, it manufactures animal vaccines for the local and global animal healthcare industry. The visit by the Portfolio Committee was crucial because it revealed the extent of the aged infrastructure and subsequent frequent breakdowns impacting the availability of much needed vaccines. It was reported, particularly noted in terms of freeze dryers, which were reported as far back as 2010 as nearing the end of their lifespan, when in 2016, one of them crashed and nothing was done to replace it. The vector-proof facility enables the OBP to do animal research on animal disease vectors of different animals at the same time. And Onderstepoort was commended for the timeliest completion of this facility, which was completed within budget. The ACDP is concerned with the holdup of the building of the Good Manufacturing Practice Facility, which was stopped in 2020 due to litigation with the engineer regarding the design. The ACDP urges the department to do everything to bring this litigation to an end so that the much needed facility can be put to use. The ARC operates under considerable financial constraints and needs additional funding, particularly for the foot and mouth disease vaccine facility, vaccines which should and could supply the whole of Africa. In accepting this report and as kingdom stewards, the ACDP asserts that we cannot and must not allow OBP and ARC to fail. I thank you.
Thank you. The UDM. Rice. Bausa. ATM. Al Jama. NCC. EAC, UAT.
Tlamehile le tlatse di-form ya. Thank you, Chairperson. Kgotso, Maafrika. The United African Transformation reject this report. The UAT registered deep concern with the following key structural weaknesses and omission in this report, especially when measured against the broader mandate of equitable development, accessibility, and inclusion of African rural communities in the agriculture economy. The report heavy focus on technical processes, cold chain logistic, export certification, and scientific procedures, reveal an institutional bias that neglect critical equity issues. While operational efficiency is commendable, there is no integration of who benefits from this high standard, export-oriented system. Nowhere does the report question why Black smallholders farmers, especially in the former homelands and rural provinces, remain largely disconnected from these value chains. The institutions appear designed to serve commercial and establish wide dominance agri-export networks, with token include of small farmers. South Africa have some of the best agricultural science and logistic institutions in the world, but they remain fortress of privileges, reserved for the elite minority. The report failed to confront the racial historical access barriers which are still present in this sector. Despite the repeated mention of support for Black small farmers, there is no evidence of results-based accountability in this report. Instead, it vaguely referred training and certification target. The report does not provide disaggregated data showing the number of Black African farmers who have successfully accessed international markets through the PPECB and ARC channel.
Honorable Member, your time is now expired.
Ni mambo.
The ANC. The ANC.
Honorable House Chairperson, honorable members, the African National Congress rises in firm and principled support of the Portfolio Committee on Agricultural Oversight Report on the Agricultural Research Council, ARC, and Onderstepoort Biological Products, or OBP. This oversight was conducted in line with our constitutional obligation to ensure accountability and service delivery in state institutions tasked with research, innovation, and the protection of food security and animal health in our country. The ANC believes that strengthening public science and restoring institutional capacity in our research entities is not a bureaucratic luxury, but a developmental necessity that speaks directly to our national priorities: land reform, food sovereignty, rural development, and inclusive economic growth. This report confirms what the ANC has long argued, that science, research, and innovation must be pillars of our national democratic society. The Freedom Charter's commitment to education, health, and food security finds practical expression in the mandate of ARC and OBP. The 55th National Conference of the ANC reaffirmed that science and technology are critical to transforming the structure of our economy, eradicating poverty, and building sovereign industrial and agricultural capacity. The National Development Plan 2 is clear: to grow agriculture and create jobs. We must invest in agricultural research, technology, innovation, and local vaccine development. These are not just ideals, they are obligations. The Portfolio Committee's oversight makes plain that much work lies ahead if ARC and OBP are to meet those obligations fully and sustainably. During the oversight, the committee witnessed both concerning challenges and promising developments. At ARC, we were encouraged by the depth of scientific expertise and the institution's role in plant and animal health research. However, we also observed that much urgent maintenance backlogs and delays in completing critical projects, such as the food and mouth disease vaccine facility, point to a need for serious recapitalization. At OBP, the committee noted structural constraints that continue to undermine production capacity, including outdated machinery and financial constraints that have previously stalled vaccine delivery, undermining the livestock sector and threatening biosecurity. Yet under new leadership, there are signs of progress. The ANC welcomes OBP's renewed efforts to boost production, including the introduction of a 7-day production cycle and early gains in restoring supply of key vaccines such as the African horse sickness. These steps will still early signal our willingness to turn the entity around, a process the ANC will continue to monitor closely. Honorable members, the challenge facing ARC and OBP are not isolated incidents, but symptoms of a broader neglect of strategic public institutions. The ANC cannot and will not allow our public research bodies to fall into disrepair. OBP is not just a company. It's a national asset that must ensure we have sovereign capacity to produce life-saving veterinary vaccines. ARC is not just a research institution. It is a cornerstone of knowledge, training, and technological development for the agricultural sector. These institutions are critical to the success of land reform, emerging farmer support, and the transformation of our rural economy. We cannot speak of food security or farmer development if we do not strengthen the very institution designed to support them. The ANC therefore supports this report and its recommendation. We call for urgent action by the executive to recapitalize ARC, expedite the infrastructure update, and ensure skilled professionals are trained and supported. We further call on the development of agriculture and treasury to work closely with OBP to ensure its production lines are fully restored, that governments and audit systems are established, and that public vaccine production is treated as a matter of strategic national importance. Honorable House Chairperson, the ANC remains committed to building a capable developmental state anchored on research, innovation, and inclusive growth. Let us strengthen the very institutions that can employ, empower Black farmers, protect our livestock, and drive economic transformation in agriculture. We support this oversight report not only as an act of accountability, but as a call to action to invest in public science, to restore capacity and ensure that ARC and OBP fulfill their vital role in transformation of our society. The African National Congress supports the report. Thank you, House Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Member. I now recognize the Honorable Chief Whip.
Thank you very much, House Chair. I move that the report be adopted.
The motion is that the report be adopted. Are there any objections?
Thank you, House Chair. On behalf of Umkhonto Wesizwe Party, we reject the report. Thank you.
Are there any further objections?
Thank you, Chairperson. UAT rejects.
UAT, are there any further objections? With those objections noted, the report is agreed to. The Secretary will read the last order of the day.
Consideration of report of Portfolio Committee on Small Business Development on appointment of small enterprise Ombud.
I now recognize the chairperson of the committee who will introduce the report. Honorable Dikgale.
Thank you very much, House Chairperson, honorable members of the Portfolio Committee on Small Business Development. Be greeted. It brings me great pleasure to present to you today the Portfolio Committee report on the appointment of the Small Enterprise Ombuds as outlined under Section 17F, subsection 1 of the National Small Enterprise Amendment Act 21 of 2024. Honorable House Chairperson and members of this August House, please allow me to express my gratitude to our predecessors led by my sister and comrade Ms. Violet Siwela for their outstanding efforts in ensuring that the National Enterprise Bill is proposed in a timely manner before the end of the 6th parliamentary term on 21st May 2024. Their collaborative effort to conclude this piece of legislation on time was truly exceptional, and I applaud their team and dedication. As we all know, His Excellency Cyril Ramaphosa signed the bill into law on 18 July 2024. Chapter 3A of the Act makes provision for the establishment of the Office of the Small Enterprise Ombud Service and the subsequent selection process of the ombuds, a reserve of this Parliament, as provided for in Section 17F of the Act, which outlines 3 steps: nomination, shortlisting, and interviews, as well as recommendation of candidates to the Minister for appointment. The primary objective of the Small Enterprise Ombud Service is to provide an independent and accessible forum for resolving disputes between small business and larger entities, including state organs. This ensures small enterprises are treated fairly, promotes ethical business practices, and advocates for their interest in policy making. The Ombud's role is to address unfair practices such as late payments and unfair contract terms that can disproportionately affect small business. Honorable members, small business are indeed considered the key players of our economy, playing a crucial role in job creation, innovation, and local economic growth. As unemployment in our country continues to soar, especially youth and women unemployment, there is a consensus that small business development may be one crucial arsenal at our disposal that we have not really explored to the fullest. Despite our best efforts, the sector faces numerous hindrances that prevent it from reaching its full potential, such as low survival rates, stagnant growth, and a high rate of business closure. Numerous factors, including lack of access to markets, regulatory barriers, access to capital, unfair competition, and a phenomenon of this committee has come to refer to a corporate bullying, have been empirically shown to have negative effects. These obstacles constitute systematic challenges that necessitate policy interventions because they are deeply interconnected and require comprehensive solutions that go beyond addressing an isolated issue. For this reason, House Chairperson, a member of the House, I am delighted to stand before you today to confidently report that this committee had adhered to all the applicable legal provisions of the Act in coming up with 4 highly qualified candidates for further consideration by the Minister. It was always going to be a contested process that elicited divergent but constructive thought and viewpoints from members of the committee. I would be the first one to agree and applaud the committee for the robust discussion and scrutiny that enabled us to come up with this list of our candidates. As Committee of Parliament, we conduct business on behalf of the House. We must therefore always report back to the House on matters referred to it for consideration and report accordingly. I hereby present the report of the Portfolio Committee on Small Business Development on the appointment of the Small Enterprise Ombudsperson for consideration and adoption. I thank you.
Thank you. I will now recognize political parties wishing to make a declaration. The usual time for declaration of votes will apply. The DA.
Dankie, voorsitter. The recent process of the Portfolio Committee on Small Business Development regarding the appointment of small enterprise ombuds has, without doubt, gone against every principle of transparency, fairness, and accountability. Let us not lose sight of the broader purpose of this office. The Small Enterprise Ombud is not merely a dispute resolution entity. Chairperson, can you just...
Let's continue, Honourable Member.
The Small Enterprise Ombud is not merely a dispute resolution entity. It's a catalyst for job creation and the inclusive economic growth. The small businesses are the engine of employment in South Africa. When small business owners are unfairly treated, whether by the government, a landlord, a supplier, or big business, and justice is denied, a job is lost, a family suffer, and our economy shrinks. This is why the Democratic Alliance has insisted since the 5th Parliament on the appointment of a small business ombudsperson. An effective ombud can unlock billions in stalled payments, reduce litigation costs, and foster trust in business relationships. This is not only empower entrepreneurs, but it also contribute directly to economic revival, job retention, and sustainable growth. Unfortunately, the selection process was soiled by wrongdoings that cannot be ignored. An alternate member who was not designated as a voting or active member of the committee was allowed by the chairperson to participate fully in the interviews. The alternate member not only attend but actively ask questions. Our objections was bruised aside, yet the following day it was agreed to discard the members' voting. The chairperson awarded one of the candidates a score of 65 out of a possible 55 points. Yes, members, you heard correctly. 10 points more than the maximum allowed. When we raised the matter, she cited the calculation error and adjusted the score downwards. It was evident that this cadre was the preferred choice of the ANC members and that they received orders which likely contribute to the nearly perfect score this candidate received from the ANC members. This reek of political favoritism and predetermined outcome. We cannot afford to politicize the role of that demands integrity. This speaks volumes. It confirms that the chairperson did not serve justice during the interviews. Chairperson, we cannot and must not settle for a compromise appointment. We will not rubber stamp a political ally into any post. We demand the appointee of an impeccable record of integrity, someone with proven knowledge of small business development, law, and mediation. Someone who can stand independently and not influenced by Luthuli House or any other party. The Democratic Alliance, therefore, calls to restart the process. Let us not defend the indefensible. Let us not pretend that the flawed process is acceptable because it suits the majority party. The public is watching. Entrepreneurs are watching. We are tired of broken promises and tired of the state that works only for those with the right connections. Let us rather be remembered as Parliament that corrected its course when mistakes are made. That is measurable. That is a measure of genuine leadership, not stubbornness, but accountability. Let us give South Africa's small businesses the ombud they deserve, independent, honest, and fiercely committed to justice. The DA reject the report.
The MK Party.
Let me greet the party leader of MK, Dr. Hlophe. How are you now? The MK disputes and rejects the report, recommending the candidate for the new Office of Small Business and Development Ombudsperson, and reflect a lack of confidence in the process and the feasibility of the candidate, specifically the ANC candidate. the ANC favorite candidate, Advocate Sonabile Mangojwa, a former CEO once tainted with misconduct and was removed from the National Heritage Council, the NHC board. Actually, he was not removed. The former minister, Natim Tetwa, had to dissolve the board because he refused to resign. We remain skeptical of this candidacy and attribute this to the long-standing issues of cadre deployment based on biasness and procedural misconduct in this country. We believe this is yet such a case, and we would be majorly, it will be a major disservice to South Africa if left unaddressed. We strongly proposed that the committee ranks candidates according to their interview scores and identify the top candidate as the highest ranking interviewed candidate with an untainted record. And as it stands, Mr. Lufuno Tokyo Nevodwe attained such a score. Not all 4 candidates were eligible for nomination, and there is a lack of accuracy in the information provided in this report. Based on the fact that the scores were not displayed, this can only be perceived as a lack of transparency and a procedural irregularity. We further urge that this is indeed score manipulation and as such refuse to accept the recommended candidate. Honorable members, this is a far cry from a constructive step towards empowering South Africa's small businesses. The National Small Business Amendment Bill, as amended in July 18, 2024, aims to assist small business owners navigate the bureaucratic hurdles. Yet time and time again, we witness bias and corrupt efforts from the failed government, not under our watch. Ultimate vetting authorized reset with ultimate vetting authority rest with this house, and so it rests upon us to make an ethical call. There remains a need for a greater oversight and due diligence before adopting this report. Processes that will ensure that we don't see questionable characters being moved from one spot to another. Section 59, subsection 1B of the Constitution mandates such open parliamentary processes, Honorable Chair. The importance of fairness, merit, and procedural transparency cannot be stressed enough in this august House. Honorable members, as I conclude, I urge that we really dig deep within, be honest and ask ourselves, how is it possible that we can entrust people's impeccable misconduct pertaining to procurement with such an ethical position of ombudsman?
Thank you, Honourable Member.
Cannot
Your
have
time has
been
now
such people.
expired.
Bana, EFF, Gwaza.
A special greetings to our Commander-in-Chief, Commissars and fighters. The economic freedom fighters strongly reject unfair, non-transparent process followed in the appointment of the Small Enterprise Ombuds, along with the resulting report which fails to uphold principles of integrity, accountability, and fairness. Section 59 of the Constitution requires a National Assembly to conduct its business in an open manner. The committee report does not accurately reflect the proceedings and outcomes of the interview process. Furthermore, the agreed upon procedure was not adhered to during the process, raising concerns about the integrity and the fairness of the process. It was agreed that the interviews will be streamed live, Chairperson. So, as a Zoom link was shared with us and we were informed that it was intended for live broadcasting of the proceedings. During the interviews, we inquire whether the session was indeed being broadcasted, and we were assured that it was. However, this did not happen, and the interviews were not televised as promised. During the following day deliberations, we were once again told that the meeting was being streamed live. However, this turned out to be false. The deliberate lack of transparency appears to be an attempt to conceal the imposition of the equitable individual into the office, therefore undermining the integrity and the purpose of the entire interview process. The chairperson of the committee intentionally manipulated the irregulation scoring process by fraudulently adding 10 extra points.
Honorable member, Honorable member, just hold on for a moment, please. I have a hand. Honorable Skosana, why do you want to be recognized?
Yeah, no, thank you very much, Honorable House Chair. The honorable member is casting aspersion to the chair of the committee. She says the chair deliberately manipulated the scores.
We do have evidence.
Yeah, honorable member, just hold on that so that I can just make a ruling. Order, honorable member at the podium. Please pause for a moment. Honorable Skosana, I think at this point it is a reflection on the work within the committee. So I am not going to rule that to be out of order. You still have an opportunity to also, the ANC has an opportunity to participate, and then they can react to that statement.
Thank you.
Honorable member, please continue.
Thank you.
Sonomile Mangotwa, who did not originally qualify for the top rankings and as an individual who did not make it to the ANC parliamentary list, and she wants to bring him through the back door, undermining the fairness of the selection of the process, disadvantaging more deserving candidates. House Chair, the majority of the shortlisted applicants were women. As such, we propose that only the name of the advocate Novondwe Lufuno Tokyo, the highest scoring candidate, be submitted alone to the minister. This will preserve the integrity and the credibility of the interview process and prevent further temptation. We are here to serve the people of this country, not the narrow political interest. All interviewed candidates deserve to publicly see their performance as part of the transparently hiding interviews deliberately. Vendors give interviews neither free.
Thank you, honorable member. Your time has now expired. Yes, it's minus. I've given you a few extra seconds for the interruption, but you're now on the minus. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson.
The IFP.
Thank you, Chairperson. Sorry for that. We're expecting Inkosi to take over through hybrid, but I'll continue.
Please proceed.
Thank you so much. Honorable Speaker, the Inkatha Freedom Party supports the establishment of the Office of the Small Enterprise Orbit, seeing it as an important step to fix the challenges facing small, micro, and media enterprises in South Africa. We appreciate the committee for their careful oversight of the transparent recruitment process. We are pleased with the emphasis on candidates' legal qualifications, sector knowledge, and ethical behavior in the selection process. Selecting individuals who possess the relevant experience and are dedicated to justice offers hope to small businesses facing unfair treatment, payment delays, and red tape. However, we are concerned about the lack of gender balance in the final candidates' recommendations. Although most applicants were women, only one was recommended, which does not align with our goals of gender equality, and empowerment, especially in leadership positions. We remain dedicated to supporting small businesses as essential drivers of economic growth and job creation. The IFU accepts the report. Thank you.
Thank you. The PI.
No declaration, House Chair, we support.
Thank you. The FF Plus.
Honorable Chair, thank you. I'm a little bit more calm about this issue than the previous one. Like millions of other South Africans, I actually only had access to the report like published in the ATC and can respond only to that. However, I learned quite a number of interesting facts from the Honorable Creer's input in this debate. I believe he was telling the truth because nobody stood up and said he's misleading the House. It's a very common occurrence in our House that people misuse that. But let's get back to the report. This report gives a exposition about how the process worked and how people were, how the position was advertised for the Ombud, how many people applied, how many people qualified according to the requirements, and then how a selection of a shortlist was made. And then, after this seemingly rigorous process to make sure that qualifying people come on the shortlist, then there's a long argument over whether this shortlist is representative enough. And that is a problem. That is a problem with appointments in South Africa and according to the legal system of South Africa. If you advertise in such a way, or if you make it available in such a way that women or blacks or youth or people with disabilities find it hard to apply, then it's really not good. But if they have all the chances to apply, and if they are vetted, and then they come on the bottom of the list, then you don't have to argue about that. Then you don't have to feel bad about the fact that there's only one woman and 3 men, all African. Then you just accept the results. And that's the way to go. Thank you.
Thank you. Action SA.
Honorable House Chair, while the establishment of the Office of Small Enterprise Ombud Service is long overdue and necessary to address unfair trading practices against small businesses, the process followed and the final outcome falls short of the standards required for transformative reform. As Action SA, we have consistently engaged the Minister on issues affecting township economies. We have asked several questions pertaining to measures used to ensure uniform enforcement of the standard draft bylaw for township economies, what targeted support is available to South African-owned spaza shops, and how government is aligning national legislation with municipal bylaws to eliminate regulatory contradictions. These questions are not academic. They reflect the urgent struggles of small local entrepreneurs suffocated by unregulated competition, under-resourced support systems, and incoherent governance. Through Action SA's Spaza for Local campaign, we've called for bold reforms to level the playing field. Yet this report fails to respond to those realities. It presents a candidate list that lacks gender and youth equity, and was pushed through without multi-party consensus. Worse still, it offers no strategy on how the Ombud will intervene in township economic challenges. Action SA demands a more inclusive, transparent, and solutions-orientated approach. We remain committed to resorting dignity, order, and opportunity in South Africa's small business sector. I thank you.
Thank you. The ICDP.
Honorable Chairperson, the purpose of an ombud is to provide dispute resolution services for small businesses, ensure fair treatment, and address concerns related to regulatory challenges. The committee reviewed candidates based on experience in business mediation, legal expertise, and knowledge of small enterprise operations. The Ombud is expected to enhance transparency, reduce bureaucratic hurdles, and improve access to justice for small business owners. The executive bill was introduced in the National Assembly under Section 75, initially without provincial implications. However, it was ruled that it significantly affects provincial interests by enabling certain trade practices in the small enterprise sector to be declared prohibited. Thus, it was amended. Whilst the committee is confident that each candidate it proposed for the role of ombudsman understands the goal of the Office of Small Enterprise Ombud Services and is passionate about the growth of small business in the country, three major parties in the GNU rejected either the list of candidates or the report itself. There was heated debate over the recommended candidates, with some saying the process lacked proper consultation. Concerns were raised questioning whether the Auditor General's recommendations were properly implemented, and others seeing irregularities in proposed funding mechanisms. Despite these objections, the report was ultimately adopted. The ACDP will not support a process that lacked transparency. I thank you.
Thank you. The UDM.
Thank you very much, House Chair. The UDM notes the process followed in the selection process and is concerned about the gender imbalance in the people who ended up making, the candidates who ended up making it into the list. But more importantly, between 60% and 80% of small business in South Africa fail within the first 3 years. And it's not because South Africans are not trying or South Africans are not industrious enough. It is simply because of a myriad of challenges they face, such as load shedding, limited access to capital, to affordable finance, red tape, and perhaps worst of all, especially for more small businesses, the culture of late or not, especially from government departments and big corporations, are slowly strangling our small business sector. That is why the UDM welcomes and is actually very happy with the introduction of the National Enterprise Amendment Bill and the plan to establish the Office of the Small Enterprise Ombud. This is long overdue. For many years, small businesses have had nowhere to turn to when they are not paid. Taking legal action is expensive, as you know, and time-consuming. Most of the small businesses cannot, something that most of the small businesses cannot afford. This Ombud could be a game changer. It offers an affordable, accessible way to resolve dispute and hold both government and the private sector role players to account for the failure to actually make sure that they pay them on time, especially. But let us be clear that this office should be used for independent and credible work. It must guard against turning it into a political deployment opportunity. The persons who are going to be chosen to lead this office must be appointed through an open and transparent process and must have merit. Anything less than that will undermine its purpose and erode trust of the very people it's meant to serve. We have to learn from other countries. For an example, in the US, the Small Business Administration handles complaints, ensures fair treatment, and reports directly to the Congress. In other parts of the world,
Thank you, Honorable Kwankwa. Your time has now expired.
Goeie vader.
Yeah, your colleagues in the ACDP won't necessarily look kindly on that specific remark, but let's move on. Rise Mzansi.
Baie jammer, Chair.
Accepted. Rise not present. Bossa.
Thank you, Chair. As a member of the Portfolio Committee and on behalf of Build One South Africa, I wish to withdraw our support for this report. There are too many issues in the process that undermine the integrity of the outcome, and we believe that it's important that we put this on record. Firstly, one of the shortlisted candidates has a known history of alleged corruption, And we believe that this raises a red flag that can't be ignored, particularly for a position that is meant to uphold fairness and justice for small business in this country. Secondly, there was a procedural infraction which occurred when an alternate member who was not eligible to participate was allowed to form part of the interview panel and score the candidates. This contravened clear rules and it was corrected, but only after objections were raised. Third, the chairperson awarded one candidate, the candidate I've referred to, as having a history of alleged corruption, more points than were available in the scoring matrix. This was explained as a mathematical error, but it only happened when it related to this candidate and no other candidates. And so it raises concerns of bias. Fourth, there was a draft recommendation list that was circulated and initially in the reports, which placed the same candidate at the top, even though he hadn't earned the highest score. This obviously sparked contestation, and after pushback was corrected, but I think it's important to note. Fifth, despite commitments to transparency, the interviews were not publicly broadcast and technical issues were cited, but the public lost their right to witness this critical process in real time, and democracy and transparency should never be negotiable. This is an important office. Small business is important in this country. It is the backbone of this country. And so we cannot support a report which undermines the process and will ultimately undermine the protection of small business. We do not support the report.
Thank you. The ATM. Al-Jamar, the NCC, the PAC, the UIT.
Thank you, Chairperson. Porto, Africa. As UAT, we raise a serious objection to the report regarding the appointment of a small enterprise ombud, which fails to reflect the standards of transparency, fairness, and integrity demanded by the constitutional democracy. The report is marred with fundamental flaws, procedural irregularities, and signs of bias that call into the question of both credibility of the process and the integrity of the Office of the Ombudsman. The committee's decision to delegate the first layers of candidate screening to the Secretariat support staff body marks a dangerous precedence. Prioritizing candidates with legal qualifications without clearly defined, measurable shortlist criteria opened the process to subjectivity and bias. The exclusion of only self-nominated candidates without explanation is another glaring irregularity. If self-nomination was a disqualification factor, it should have been made clear to the public. More troubling is the removal of the scoring input from the alternate committee member, despite their full participation in interviews. The justification that this was tantamount to voting, it is inconsistent and undermines the process of credibility. If members are allowed to question candidates, their score must also count. The failure to conduct background checks, such as those by the State Security Agency or through the External Credit Verification Service, reflect a complete disregard to the due diligence. Relying on candidates' voluntary disclosure is insufficient for a high-level public appointment, especially one charged with upholding fair and disputes involving the small enterprise.
Thank you, Honorable Mahlatsi. Your time has now expired.
Kanimambo.
Good. The ANC.
Thank you very much, House Chair. Small business development is a cornerstone of inclusive growth, innovation, and job creation. The formal appointment of a small enterprise ombuds represent a significant institutional mechanism aimed at empowering MMEs by resolving disputes, ensuring fair practices, and enhancing the sustainability of small businesses. This initiative strengthens the overall entrepreneurial ecosystem and reflects a commitment by the state to create a more enable environment for small businesses. The African National Congress supports the report of the Portfolio Committee on Small Businesses on appointment of the Ombuds for Small Business Development. We are of the view that the committee made every effort to comply fully with the provisions of the National Small Enterprise Amendment Act, along with the relevant supporting legislation. Each suggested candidate exhibits a strong dedication to the growth of small businesses in South Africa and has a thorough understanding of the office's mission. For us as the ANC, the appointment of the Ombuds is in line with the objectives of our manifesto, which is to take forward initiatives to build a professional, ethical, and developmental public service. We are of the view that the Ombud will help small businesses avoid costly litigations, which is often prohibitive for entrepreneurs with limited resources. Moreover, the office is expected to raise awareness about fair business practices, avoid the pro-SMMEs regulatory reforms, and compile data on challenges that can inform policy interventions. The appointment of ombuds will have a positive impact in small businesses development. We believe that it will level the playing field, enhance business confidence, improve justice, and foster accountability and transparency. These objectives are of course in line with our 2024 manifesto, which aims to create a capable and developing state, which deepens its relations between government and the people, and it establishes a professional and development-oriented public service. For the ANC and the society at large, this appointment marks a forward-thinking and a strategic move towards building a more inclusive, equitable, and competitive economic landscape in South Africa. However, for this office to be truly effective, it must be well-resourced, allowed to operate independently, and be readily accessible in all rural areas, including townships. We therefore urge all stakeholders to give this office the necessary support that it deserves. Honorable Chair, what the Democratic Alliance is not telling this House is how they dismally failed when they tried to reduce the work of the Portfolio Committee to what they called a party mandate. When they thought they are going to hold the committee at ransom because at that particular point they would have not received a political mandate. Unfortunately, they could not succeed to that. I am not going to say a word about the honorable members of the MK and that of the EFF. We have been then since, Honorable Chair, we have been then since advising that the availability of the morning coffee in the Portfolio Committee must be minimized, simply because these particular comrades will prioritize that. That is why they will miss important discussions and decisions of the Portfolio Committee. By the way, that of the MK have been suffering from amnesia since day one. We have been, by the way, I don't remember how many times we have to remind her.
Order, honorable members.
By the way, by now,
you were protected when you were very, very robust in this debate. Let's give the ANC their due now.
By the way, Chair, I don't think even if that one of the MK remembers the declaration that she just made, because all the decisions of the committee, she always misses them, simply because he's busy having coffee every morning. That is why he will miss that. Unfortunately, Honorable Chair, that is what the MK has offered us. We had no choice, but we work with what we have. By the way, the Portfolio Committee met all the obligations as mandated by the legislation. The ANC support the report. Thanks, Chair.
Honorable members, order. I now put the question. The question before the House is that the following list of candidates be recommended for appointment as Small Enterprise Ombud. Advocate Navondwe Lefunyu Tokyo. Advocate Mankatewa Sonwabile. Advocate Rabutapi Lehlonolo Lucky. And Advocate Nande Meshwe. Are there any objections? The DA,
Thank you, House Chair. The DA objects and we intend calling for a division at the appropriate time. Thank you.
honorable members, a division having been called. Honorable Chief Whip, why do you want to be recognized?
Thank you very much, Honorable House Chairperson. Listening and following the debate in the House, we want to move that the report be sent back according to rule number 123E, be sent back to the committee. Thank you.
We agree. Agreed.
Thank you,
The
honorable
request must
members.
be back.
The Honorable Glope, why do you want to be recognized?
Honorable House Chair, on behalf of Condolences Party, we reject the report.
Okay, thank you. I can, I don't think it, on the order, honorable members. Order. Honorable members, the item, order. Honorable members. The item is brought to this House via the Chief Whip of the largest party in the House. As custodian of the report, there's been a request for that to be withdrawn. We will therefore not proceed with a vote on the matter. And we will proceed to refer the report. I believe what maybe procedurally what we must say that the question has been amended to read that the report be returned to the committee for further deliberation. Are there any objections to that recommendation? No objections? Agreed to. Honorable members, I request members to stand and wait for the presiding officer and the maids to leave. That concludes the business of the day. The House is adjourned.